In the city of Cyprus in 300 BC, there lived a very wealthy trader called Zeno. While on a voyage from Phoenicia to Piraeus, his boat sank, along with all of his cargo, because of that single event, an event that was entirely out of Zeno's or anyone's control. This very wealthy man suddenly became poor in an instant. Imagine you were Zeno. How would you react to your entire life's work getting flushed down the drain by the sheer force of nature? What is the proper reaction? Would you be angry, sad? Would you feel life has cheated you? For most of us, these would all be normal reactions, but not for Zeno, the father of Stoicism. One small change can indeed have a lasting impact, and a subtle shift in your mindset can lead to more significant and meaningful transformations over time. It's the accumulation of these seemingly minor adjustments that shapes the course of our lives and influences our perspective on the world. The core of Stoicism is the very definition of acceptance and indifference. After reading the works of Socrates and other great philosophers, Zeno created and taught Stoicism. According to Zeno, although we don't have much control over what happens to us, we do have control of how it affects us, and we must use this control to great effect. Rather than crying over spilled milk, or in this case, drowned goods, Zeno focused on maintaining his composure over the situation, remaining calm and neutral despite his predicament. In the present day, there's a common misconception that Stoics are individuals who appear unbreakable, seemingly immune to emotional extremes such as explosive anger or overwhelming anxiety. However, this interpretation overlooks the essence of Stoicism. While Stoics do strive for emotional resilience, their true pursuit lies in achieving a balanced understanding of the world and a healthier relationship with their own emotions. The goal isn't to suppress feelings, but rather to wield greater control over how those feelings influence their actions and overall sense of well-being. It was a way of life, and that way of life has lasted for centuries. Stoic philosophy can be applied to situations today the same way it was applied thousands of years ago, and its benefits are just as impactful. Stoicism allows us to process these negative emotions from negative experiences and turn them into the thoughts that give us a unique perspective of the world. Perspective is everything, and everyone in the world has different experiences and thus different perspectives on things. This openness of the Stoics extended beyond their personal interactions. They convened, shared, and instructed in public spaces, ensuring their philosophy resonated widely. Their belief in the universal applicability of Stoic principles led them to reject the notion of confining their knowledge within the confines of schools or palace courtyards. Instead, they envisioned the broader benefits, aiming to illuminate the lives of every individual, regardless of their background. They believed that Stoic principles could greatly benefit anyone and everyone. As a result, everyone from slave to emperor could learn and become a Stoic, and they did. Some of the world's most notable Stoics include Epictetus, which translates to acquired as he was once owned as a slave, Seneca, who was a well-renowned statesman, and Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, and one of the most powerful men to have ever lived. The early Stoics practiced what they preached, avoiding all forms of segregation and leading the fight against inequality. They even invented the word cosmopolitan, which literally means citizen of the world. When people hear that word now, we think of cities like New York, Toronto, Dubai, and London because of how diverse they are. This was the type of unity and togetherness that the Stoics preached. At the time of Stoicism's foundation, women weren't allowed to pursue philosophy, but Stoics disagreed with that completely. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus' teacher, once said, It is not men alone who possess eagerness and a natural inclination towards virtue, but women also. Women are pleased no less than men by noble and just deeds, and reject the opposite of such actions. Since that is so, why is it appropriate for men to seek out and examine how they might live well? That is, to practice philosophy, but not women. Even at a time when it wasn't popular, women were allowed to freely learn about Stoicism and become Stoics themselves. So why do so many people adopt Stoicism as a way of life? In a world full of unexpected turns of events, our emotions can tend to get in the way of things. In reality, we don't really get sad because bad things happen to us. We get sad because unexpected bad things happen to us. Rain is a good thing. It helps to water our plants, provides water for livestock, and keeps the temperature cool and humid. But the truth is, when that dark cloud catches you outside without an umbrella, it's never a good experience. So why don't we start crying once it starts to rain? It's because although the situation is bad, we've learned to expect rain. It's something that is unavoidable. We can't control the weather. Although it sucks, the rain passes and the light returns. Stoicism teaches us that in the same way, we should expect that everything bad that can happen will happen. Picture the worst outcome and be content knowing it could happen. One of the Stoic exercises is known as voluntary discomfort, an exercise aimed at increasing feelings of gratitude. Sleep on the floor of your kitchen, taking cold showers when you normally take hot ones. Eat nothing but potatoes for a few days. Things like this. This exercise helps you to understand that no matter how hard it gets, you'll still survive and potentially thrive if your mindset is right. By being able to withstand these uncomfortable situations, we indirectly prepare our mental for future misfortunes. With the current state of the world where advertisements are constantly shoved down our throats, we are made to believe that if we don't have the next best thing, look a certain way, or make a certain amount of money, that we will never be happy. This message is important now more than ever. We enter the world with nothing, and we leave with nothing. The only thing that we truly own is our thoughts. Everything else that we own is more like stuff that we're looking after for someone else. It's important to remember this because the thought of loss can often be worse than loss itself. Marcus Aurelius is the Stoic philosopher who best embodies the Stoic way of life. He was a Roman emperor during the years 161 to 180, a time where if you were an emperor, you were basically a god. Despite that, Marcus still considered himself to be a student of Stoicism. A passage from his book Meditations reads, "What we say to ourselves in the privacy of our own minds matters very little. What matters is how we act. That's the truth." Marcus makes the point that life, despite its limited control, is still beautiful. Everything from the bad weather to the presence of an annoying coworker can teach you something, and that's important. The Stoic way of life allows us to look at things more objectively. Life is what it is. It's neither good nor bad, but our judgments of those situations are. So what does the Stoic way of life entail? What does it mean to be Stoic? The answer is simple. It means to live a life that is in line with nature, the same nature that every other person is born with, the same nature that a dog is born with, and a cat, and a lion, and a wolf. It's a way of life that simply looks at the facts of the situation and goes with the best course of action. It's not trying to impress others or get ahead or pretend to be something it's not. It just is. It's a life of tranquility, peace, and meaning. In conclusion, the Stoic way of life is one that many people still follow today. It teaches us that life is short, and we should live it as such. It's about focusing on what we have control over and learning to accept what we don't. It's a way of life that teaches us that although we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we react to it. It's about learning to be content with our situation and not constantly wanting more. It's about realizing that the only thing we truly own are our thoughts, and everything else is just borrowed. It's about understanding that life, despite its ups and downs, is beautiful, and we should cherish every moment. It's about living a life that is in line with our nature and finding tranquility, peace, and meaning in every day.